and welcome back to episode 2 of the biology series in the Nail It program. In this episode, we will be learning about specialized cells. Yay! Now, first thing we need to know is about multicellular organisms. Now, just to recap from before, what are multicellular organisms? Multicellular organisms are organisms which contain many cells, and they usually contain eukaryotic cells. So they're complex cells with complex structures. They can be, for example, whether it's flowers, whether it's humans, or anything. Now, different types of cells with different structures. Multicellular organisms, that's what they have. They have different cells with different structures. Now, what does this help them to do? It helps them to adapt to specific functions. So multicellular organisms need to do many different things. They have to do many different tasks, and in order to do these tasks in the most efficient way possible, they have specialized cells. First one we need to know about is the egg cell, the female egg cell. What does the female egg cell do? It carries the female DNA and it nourishes the zygote, which is the fertilized egg, after reproduction. So this is a female gamete. It's a female haploid cell. So first of all, before we learn about the egg cell or the sperm cell, let's just quickly recap all about what happens here. So sexual reproduction. So that's what these two gametes are used for, sexual reproduction. Now, this is when the nucleus of both the egg and the sperm fuse, and this causes a fertilized egg, which can also be called a zygote. So these gametes that are used in sexual reproduction are always haploid. They have half the number of chromosomes. So you have a specific amount of genetic information in cells, and in haploid cells there are half the number of chromosomes altogether. But why there might be an exam question asking why are gametes haploid? Well, the reason why gametes are haploid, especially when it comes to sexual reproduction in humans, you need to explain it's when they combine. Because they do need to fuse and combine together to form a zygote, they will have the right number of chromosomes. So if you want the full set of chromosomes, the full number of chromosomes, then obviously you need them to be equally haploid. Obviously, having too many chromosomes will cause genetic defects, etc. So that's important in terms of having the right number of chromosomes if you want a healthy embryo. So here, let's go back to our female egg cells. So you have your cytoplasm. In your cytoplasm, you have many different types of nutrients. What are these nutrients used for? They're used to nourish the zygote. So they take care of the zygote after it's been fertilized before it turns into an embryo. Now, the membrane, what happens to the membrane? The membrane, it basically changes structure. So here's the membrane, the purple part that the arrow is pointing to. It changes structure, so it hardens, and this prevents any further sperm from getting in, which is obviously the same purpose as what I have written here. So when they combine, they have the right number of chromosomes. That's the reason why the membrane hardens as well, in case they ask you that in the exam. And let's now move on to the male gamete, which is the sperm. Now, gosh, it's so blurry. There we go. Now, in the sperm is also haploid. It contains half the number of chromosomes, and we have explained why this is important. It contains an acrosome. So it contains enzymes in the sperm head, which are called acrosomes, and they basically help to digest the membrane of the egg so that they can enter and go into the nucleus and fuse with the nucleus. They also contain a long tail. So this long tail, and it has a streamlined structure, and this basically helps it to swim in the most efficient way possible. You also have mitochondria, the mitochondria, what are mitochondria used for? They're subcomponents, and if you have already watched my previous video, the function of mitochondria are to provide energy from aerobic respiration. So obviously sperm cells need a lot of energy if they want to swim all the way to the egg cell, which is why they have many mitochondria to provide sufficient amount of energy to do so. Now, what is the main purpose of the sperm? We know that the purpose of the egg is to carry female DNA and to nourish the zygote. The purpose of the sperm is to merely transport male DNA. So that's all it needs to do. It just needs to transport male DNA. Finally, moving on to epithelial cells. Okay, so these epithelial cells, what are they used for? They're used to line the surface of organs. So that's the purpose of them. They move substances along the lining of organs in one direction. So they sweep substances along. And that is the main function of the cilia. So they're hair-like structures and they move substances. And the epithelial cells, they line the organs, they contain the nucleuses, they provide the energy, they might contain a lot of mitochondria. And a specific example you do need to know about are the lining of airways in your lung. So you have them in the lining of your airways so that it can sweep mucus away from the lung, which may cause breathing problems, and it allows it to go up in the direction of the throat, which is kind of disgusting to hear, but that's the main purpose of them. You also need to know about microvilli. So microvilli, they are also ciliated epithelial cells, and they are used to sweep substances along the lining of your stomach. That it is your stomach, but if you want to know in specific, it's your small intestine. They're also found in other parts of the body, but for GCSE, you just need to know about the microvilli in your small intestine. And that's just about it in terms of all the things that you need to know. So I hope I haven't missed anything out. If you do want to know any more information, or if you think that my video was not helpful in any way, please do comment below. Like I said, this is for grade 9 targeted students, so it does contain a lot of information. One very quick tip is that obviously it might be hard to understand at first, but if you keep watching these videos and if you do keep understanding it, or should I say listening to it, trying to understand it, you will get it. And to be honest, if you want a grade 9, you do need to know this in very good detail. To be honest, it's better to learn the textbook definition, which is what I have given here. So if you do follow all of this, which I have made into my own words, then it is basically all you need to know for this topic. So yeah, thanks for watching.